Hey everybody, how you doing today? Zeus King coming at you on a beautiful spring day here in 2016. This summer, of course, we have the 2016 Summer Olympics being held in Rio de Janeiro. Many people feel that Rio is the home of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and as of yet, we have yet to see Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu even remotely considered by the IOC for competition. Of course, every 4 years, you know, with the immense popularity of mixed martial arts, we have fans that always want to talk about having MMA in the Olympics, and a lot of fans feel like, hey, it's never going to happen. Well, guess what? It already happened. It was called Pankration, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Pankration was one of the first ancient combat sports developed by the ancient Greeks. They, of course, you know, were the ones that came up with boxing. They were the ones that came up with wrestling. And those were heavily practiced from the second millennium BC. Sometime in that area, most studies show that somewhere around the 800 BC area, the ancient Greeks came up with pankration, which was a combination of wrestling and boxing with also kicking, joint locks, throws, everything that we pretty much know today as a combination of many different martial arts. And that was called pankration. It became an Olympic sport in ancient Greek Olympics in around 642 BC. And it ran all the way through the Roman Empire and their Olympic Games, and it was also a competition in the Roman Colosseum, and it wasn't abolished by the Romans until around 339 AD. So we're talking a near 1,000-year run of pankration as an Olympic sport. That's incredible to think of, that we had in the world that much actual, mostly mixed martial arts style fighting going on that was drawing huge crowds. Basically, there were two rules in pankration: no biting and no gouging. Now, if you were a Greek from Sparta, there were no rules. Surprising, huh? Well, that brings us forward to after the abolishment of pankration and the Olympic Games and everything else. Is in 1895, the French and a lot of the other European nations decided to restart the Olympic Games. And while all of these other original Olympic Games were accepted back in for the 1896 Games, the French guy in charge of the Olympics at that time said no. He said all but pankration will be accepted into the Olympics. Now, historically, think about that. 100 years, 97 years pretty much exactly before the first UFC, we could have had pankration in some form back in as an Olympic sport. Now, you've obviously been following MMA for a long time. I'm sure you've all heard the Joe Rogan quote is that in the last 20 years, martial arts has progressed more than in the past 2,000. Well, that's absolutely incorrect. And another person who was really the first person to start bringing it into the martial arts community's ideals was a man named Jim Cervantes. Okay, Greek born, raised in America, and he found out, by digging through the artwork on ancient Greek pottery and researching a lot of different things from ancient Greek texts, he learned about pankration and started bringing the ideas and started the training and how it converts to self-defense as well as a sport, and started training himself in pankration. And in 1973, he was awarded a cover story on Black Belt magazine. Black Belt magazine back then was the definitive martial arts magazine for probably the last 30 years up until, you know, the time of where the 90s and mixed martial arts started coming into fruition. But Jim is an extremely intelligent guy. He really knows his stuff, and I highly recommend you checking out, you know, some of his ideas. You know, he's got a Facebook group for Pankration, and it's really incredible the rigorous, the rigorous training that these guys went through, and to think of what we could have had, and how 100 years of Pankration would have influenced martial arts as they are today. Because honestly, most of the influence of martial arts in today's society come from karate. They come from kung fu movies. They come from guys like Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris. People like that influenced the people in my generation. Okay, and then we had Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, Steven Seagal movies, the Jim Cottas, and all kinds of different things that have really kind of spurred this idea of martial arts competition one-on-one. And it's really an incredible thing to think about what we've actually missed out on, and what was actually, they got it right nearly 3,000 years ago, but we've been missing it since 339 AD. So that's just something to think about. Thinking about, if you want MMA in the Olympics, call it what it should be called. Call it Pankration. Tell the IOC, hey, we want Pankration. We want the original mixed martial art back in the Olympics. Because that would be an incredible thing to see. At least if we couldn't get some of these great guys to represent their countries, some of these great pros from Brazil, from Russia, from America, from across the world to represent in the ultimate form of fighting, at least we could begin a new generation and get some of these great amateurs and some of these younger guys who could start doing Pankration as amateurs. And it would give them a world stage. You could help launch the careers of MMA stars from amateur Pankration and Olympic Pankration. So think about that. 1,000 years of Olympic competition that went on already, and 100 years of competition that we missed out on. So if you like that, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be bringing you more videos here soon. More great things going on at the gym. I'm feeling better every day. No lasting effects from the acute pancreatitis. Just feeling fantastic. Enjoying my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at Carlson Gracie team in Winston-Salem. Also hosted by 8 Points Muay Thai and Fitness. Check out 8pointsmuaythai.com. Please, if you're in the area and you'd like to try a free class, please hit up Chris Clodfelter. He's a great guy, and he'd be glad to teach you. And you know, so I'm all for Pankration. Don't get me wrong. It's not to say that what we've learned, all these great traditional martial arts, karate, jiu-jitsu, judo, there are so many great martial arts that are rooted in these great traditions that have beautiful form, respect. Like Muay Thai is a beautiful martial art, maybe the most beautiful in the world, because it incorporates such rhythm, dance, striking, and it has its own true beauty to it. And so what I'm not saying that none of these other martial arts have merit, but I'm just saying, hey, let's go with the oldest one. And let's get that back in to martial arts. Let's get that back into the Olympics. So if you like the idea of MMA in the Olympics, support Pankration, support Jim Aravantis, and get on the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, and tell them, hey, bring back Pankration. Thank you.